We were talking about Joe Biden a little bit earlier on, and we're going to talk to Scottie Nell Hughes very shortly about it too. Should he drop out of the race? Here I am earlier speaking to Bob Mulholland, campaign advisor for the Democratic Party. I assured the Republicans that they were basically being in denial about Biden's health. Everybody looks at Joe Biden and sees an old, doddering man. I mean, you're one of the few people that I've ever spoken to who doesn't see it. I mean, I would have more kind of faith in your judgment if you admitted that what we're seeing is a guy at sort of the end of his career.
Well, after 4 more years in the White House, will be at the end of his career. Look, and I said,
are you seriously telling me that you think that he won't deteriorate in the way that he has over the last 2 years? Because even when he ran for president 4 years ago, he was a lot better than he is now. What do you think he's going to be like in 2 more years?
A little bit older. Winston Churchill was drunk through most of World War II. President Roosevelt.
I mean, you seem to be throwing all this stuff around, like you're blaming everybody else, and Joe Biden's fine. Winston Churchill was a drunk. Winston Churchill was a very fine individual, and you won't get any kudos for slagging him off on my show. But secondly, Joe Biden is a doddering old fool, but you don't see it.
No, I don't see that at all. And President Eisenhower had several heart attacks in his first term. And
he was also a very estimable character.
Who?
He was also a very estimable character, President Roosevelt.
Yeah, they were both, all Winston Churchill, Roosevelt, they were great.
Yeah, but they never forgot what they were saying when they were in the middle of a sentence, did they?
Well,
they never fell over when they were walking up to a lectern.
Well, that's not according to the White House staff during the Roosevelt days.
Well, let's put it this way. We've got footage of Joe Biden falling flat on his face. I don't have any footage of anybody else doing that who's been a leader of the free world.
We have Trump footage of Trump looking like a moron.
Well, you say looking like a moron, but you're suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, clearly.
Hey, look at when the American people decide on Biden on November.
So far you've slagged off Winston Churchill, Roosevelt, the Supreme Court, and Donald Trump. So I'm not sure you're actually living in the real world, mate.
I am living in the real world.
Really?
Yes.
Well, there's a picture of Biden falling up the stairs. What do you make of that?
I think everybody I know at some point has fallen on stairs.
Really?
Yes.
Have you ever fallen down the stairs?
Gerald Ford was a president, was an athlete.
Gerald Ford, that's the day he's slagging Gerald Ford. Well, he famously couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Now, that's not true. It was just an image created by the television.
No, right. Oh, sorry, I've forgotten. You slagged off the New York Times, all journalists, all columnists, everybody that you don't agree with, apparently is an idiot. And you're the only person in the world that thinks Joe Biden is a sensible, sane character who can actually continue to run and be president. I mean, I don't think he should even be president, never mind run for another 4 years.
We'll see on November 5th, and you can eat your words.
I won't eat my words. I never do. I'm always right. I've never been wrong. I'm afraid I can't argue with that, really. Who is that guy? Bob Mulholland was campaign advisor for the Democratic Party. Absolutely extraordinary. Let's talk to Scottie Nell Hughes, who's a political strategist and commentator. Scottie, very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, and that was quite enjoyable to listen to. I mean, the only person he left off insulting was Margaret Thatcher and Jesus Christ.
I know. I was just waiting for that. But, I mean, he's not alone, is he? Because, unfortunately, there are some Democrats who just will not accept that Joe Biden is not really fit to be president right now, never mind to run for another term.
Well, welcome to 2024. This is not the era of FDR where the media and everybody in the White House did everything they could to cover up and make sure that the general public did not know what was actually going on with the president of the United States. And Democrats are getting literally phased, and it's only because this has been pushed up and they can no longer ignore the current mental state that, by the way, has been confirmed by his own investigator who said he was not mentally fit to stand trial. And the comments that have been made time and time again that we can see with our own eyes as humans with any common sense that Joe Biden is not in the physical or mental state that he was even 5, 10, 20 years ago, but especially to be the leader of the free world that has the nuclear codes option within his fingertips.
Well, this is the problem. I mean, I watched that debate with incredulity, really, because I thought to myself, how can you sit in a room with this man? How can this man have any kind of clue about what he's talking about. He's drifting off in the middle of sentences. He's not able to have a clear and sort of cogent thought process. So if you're talking to him about, you know, negotiating with Hamas or negotiating with, you know, Russia or Ukraine, what's to sort out with China, you know, you wonder what on earth is he going to say in front of all sorts of people?
Well, we can see now why the United States, not only their domestic policy, but their foreign policy is in absolute shambles right now. And I apologize to the people of the UK and our allies for kind of dragging you into a lot of these different foreign affairs that I think with diplomatic relations, we could have actually avoided some of the issues that have come up. Something that Donald Trump accurately pointed out in that debate, that under his presidency, those 4 years, we were going towards peace rather than, it was amazing that just within a few months of Biden accepting his role in the White House, we saw absolute chaos develop in two of the most detrimental theaters in the world.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I mean, the problem is as well that the senior sort of people in the Democratic Party don't seem to want to take the option which would be to presumably remove Joe Biden during the during the Democratic National Convention, putting Gavin Newsom. But I'm told the other problem that he's got is that Jill Biden is absolutely pushing for him to stay. Hunter Biden, his son, is telling him he should stay. But the Obamas, who have always been great backers of Biden, behind the scenes are telling people that he's finished and he shouldn't be running.
And that's who's actually in control of the Democratic Party today in the United States is the Obamas. Here's the issue the Democrats face. It's not only the White House, but it's also all of the other candidates running down ballot. They have to, at the very least, keep the House and the Senate. And if they do not keep at least one of those, you're going to have a full Republican sweep, which would be absolutely horrible. Let's look at the Supreme Court case that just came out yesterday, which was, as much as they're saying, oh, this was, you know, Trump was so, you know, this was elated. The family that was actually most elated was the Biden family. Because make no mistake that this also gave them the protections that once a proper investigation was done. So, of course, Hunter Biden is wanting to keep daddy in office as long as he can. Hopefully, as long as he can secure citizenship and residency in another country is probably what he's looking for. I think the Democrats, though, are at the point that they don't, there's a lot that can happen. One prediction is they're going to wait until after the RNC, maybe the day after, because if they put a new candidate out, you're going to have a full week here of Republicans bringing up the record, targeting that candidate, putting all sorts of media attention and spotlight on whomever that new nominee would be. So it would not be smart right now to have Joe Biden step down. For them, it's let's get through the RNC when we can control the media narrative more than the microphone on stage that will be every single night in Milwaukee.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much indeed. Scottie Nell Hughes, there, American political strategist and commentator.